Border agents in China are installing malware on phones, GNUPG has a serious problem, and Amazon saves your voice recordings indefinitely. All that coming up now on ThreatWire. Greetings, I am Shannon Morse and this is ThreatWire for July 9th, 2019, your summary of the threats to our security, privacy, and internet freedom. It's time for a sort of quick shout out. This one's got a lot of people. Ryan, Jim, Roy, Grayson, Bob Marley and me, Peter, Jose, Joe, Magnus, Ross, Leste Flor, Cyberbits, Joel, JB, Hammer, Shiro, Steve, Genki, Steven, Codepoint, Paul, Michael, Nick, Chris, Ralph, Charles, Timothy, and Chris joined the Patreon team this week. If you are interested in supporting ThreatWire on Patreon, hit up patreon.com/ThreatWire to check out all of the new perks. And now, on to the news. According to a joint investigation by Motherboard, The Guardian, New York Times, and 2 German outlets, if you travel through certain border crossings in China, you may be forced to download malware onto your phone. Specifically, this affects tourists traveling into the Xinjiang region. Xinjiang is a remote region of China on the western side bordering Central Asia, countries like Pakistan and Kyrgyzstan. Tourists traveling from Kyrgyzstan are having their phones seized and malware installed. They are not informed of this prior to travel or told that they will be spied on. The Muslim population living in this region have also had surveillance forced upon them. With facial recognition cameras installed on streets and in mosques, they too having malware installed on phones to save the least of the surveillance state. For tourists, though, this is kind of new. They have their phones seized by border guards who will then install malware that searches for Islamic content on the device. The malware, which is called BXAQ or Fengkai, searches for around 73,000 files, including text messages, emails, phone logs, and calendar entries, including searches for Dalai Lama files, music files having to do with Unholy Grave, which is a Japanese metal band of all things, information about fasting, and parts of the Quran. It also searches for weapons, operation manuals, and Islamist extremist documentation. Motherboard has uploaded the APK to their GitHub if you want to check it out. Now, while the malware is Android specific, a reporter for the German outlet claimed to see machines that could search iPhones along those same border crossings when they had similar circumstances happen to them. In each case, these happened at the remote border crossings called Irkestam crossing, which is along the Silk Road. Tourists encounter several steps in crossing into the region, including having their devices seized and taken into a separate room. Most of the time, the app is uninstalled after being given back to the traveler, but several have noted that it remained on the phone. Authorities have not explained what they do with the device contents or how long they keep data stolen from these devices. So, in other words, if you're traveling in that area, you might want to bring a burner. Last week, the contributors to GNUPG, the PGP protocol, noticed that their SKS key server network was under attack by unknown assailants, and publicized details about it on their GitHub. According to the post, certificate spamming attacks against 2 high-profile contributors of OpenPGP, named Robert J. Hansen and Daniel Kahn Gilmore, began in late June 2019. The attack is exploiting a known vulnerability in OpenPGP's protocol, which allowed them to poison the OpenPGP certificates. This would basically break OpenPGP installations in hard-to-debug ways, quote unquote, if the poison certificate was imported. The post clarifies that poison certificates are already on the SKS key server network and that the attacks will probably continue. The contributors state that there is no time period for a fix on the SKS key server network, nor via OpenPGP working group. Future releases of OpenPGP may have a fix, but there is no time frame for those either. So the only mitigation at the moment is to stop retrieving data from the SKS key server network. Now, OpenPGP is a popular protocol used to encrypt email messages. Lots of folks, including myself, have used OpenPGP for encrypting messages so that only the known receiver can decrypt them. OpenPGP is built on top of Pretty Good Privacy, or PGP for short, which has been around for a very long time. SKS, or Synchronizing Key Servers, is used to help public PGP digital certificates with distribution and discovery. These key servers help verify the sender and the receiver, and further verification can be introduced by adding a signature to that certificate. Well, GNU-PG, which is a popular implementation of OpenPGP, uses that signature process to verify identities. Unfortunately, though, GNU-PG has a known flaw where it cannot handle high numbers of signatures to certificates. And if somebody uses that flaw to spam their certificate with signatures, they break. This makes the validations useless in proving the identity of a sender or a receiver of encrypted mail. Other platforms use PGP too, such as the Linux operating system for updates. So if you are targeted in the attack, you would not be able to update your machine. It's a very messy problem, and it's a problem that has been around for at least a decade, according to Hansen. With that said, if a sender is using PGP without relying on the SKS key server network and signatures, then they are fine. The feature in question here is broken, and the community who works on it does not have a good way to fix it. The key server network is also decentralized, so there's no one point of failure which could be fixed. This means that the software is not maintained, nor would it be a viable fix. So are you screwed? Yeah, kinda, but I will keep an eye on this to see if anything does come to fruition. Before we hit story number 3, I wanted to say thank you again so much to my Patreon supporters. I am adding a bunch of new perks as we speak, so definitely check them out. The entire page has been revamped. Patreon.com/ThreatWire is where you want to go to get access to all those extras. So for example, I'm introducing a new Patreon perk for Turbo Panda patrons and up. You will receive a weekly newsletter, which I am introducing this month, detailing important security and privacy news from the past week. Since I only have time to cover 3 topics each week on the show, this is my way of bringing you more news in an easily read format, so you can see exactly what I'm researching to find news stories to share with you every week. And also, I wanted to mention, I want to introduce an audio podcast for ThreatWire, but I gotta get to the next goal, so Patreon is the place to help out for that. And a big thanks to our Hush Puppy perk level patrons for sending in their adorable fur baby photos, like this brand new one. I love them, keep them coming. Back in May, Delaware Democratic U.S. Senator Chris Coons sent a letter to Jeff Bezos of Amazon asking about echoed device transcripts of voice recordings and how long that data is kept. He wrote this letter in response to the earlier reports that Amazon stored text transcripts and had a team of Amazon employees who listened back to these transcripts in order to teach the AI to get better. He wanted to know the term of storage of the data, but also how collections are used, anonymization of data, and if the audio is kept alongside text. He requested a response by June 30th, and now we have an update as of the 28th. Now, according to the response made by Amazon, the company does keep customer voice recordings indefinitely, or until the customer chooses to delete them. Even though audio and transcripts can be deleted through the privacy screen in the Alexa app or via the website, that does not mean they are truly gone. So for example, the response letter explains that requests made involving transactions like hailing Uber or Lyft or ordering Domino's Pizza would be kept, and those skills developers, the third parties, would be able to store and access those transactional details, including the vocal data. Customer data like reminders and alarms are also stored indefinitely. Voice transcripts are not anonymous either, since reviewing them in voice history requires those to be associated with the customer's account. Since Amazon does store this data until a customer deletes it, with the noted exceptions, you can head into your Alexa app and choose Settings, Privacy, Review Voice History to review and delete the data. You can also delete data via the website or by enabling the option to delete by voice by saying Alexa, delete everything I said today or similar. And with that, do not forget to like and subscribe. I am Shannon Morse, and I will see you on the internet.